Imagine an artificial waterway running through Egypt, connecting the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea, a route that allows maritime communication between Europe and Asia without the need to go around Africa, making the trip much shorter. This is the magic of the Suez Canal, one of the world's main shipping routes. Every day, hundreds of ships pass through there, transporting goods between Asia, Europe, and the western United States. Surprisingly, the canal is responsible for 14% of the world's freight transport. And the best part? There are no locks, which guarantees speed and reliability. Intrigue? So check everything out. The artificial opening in the middle of the continent is located in the Sinai Peninsula in Egypt, at the confluence between Africa and Asia, very close to the coast of Europe. It was opened in 1869. Its history is linked to the influence of European imperialist nations and their commercial interests. The importance of the Suez Canal is linked to the high traffic of goods that pass through the canal every day. The location between the major producing center, Asia, and the major consumer center, Europe, reflects the concentration of commercial activities in the channel. The Suez Canal stretches from Port Said on the Mediterranean Sea south to the city of Suez on the Gulf of Suez. It separates most of Egypt into the Sinai Peninsula. It was built in 10 years and officially opened on November 17, 1869. The use of the Suez Canal must be open to ships from all countries, whether for commercial or war purposes. The creation of the Suez Canal began more than 3,800 years ago during the reign of the pharaoh, who wanted to facilitate the crossing of boats. The concept of a canal that would connect these seas and the Nile River lasted until the construction of the first canal in the area, under the reign of Senusret II, pharaoh of Egypt from 1897 to 1878 before Christ. However, the canal was often abandoned for many years after its construction. At the same time, the canal was also reopened several times for navigation under the reign of various rulers. Historical documents suggest that the canal was wide, and several other attempts at building new canals were also undertaken during this period. The first modern effort to build a canal occurred in the late 1700s during Napoleon Bonaparte's expedition to Egypt. He believed that a French-controlled canal across the Isthmus of Suez would cause commercial problems for the British in the southern part of Africa. However, a measurement error halted construction. With the emergence of New Europe and the development of maritime trade, entrepreneurs began to think about building canals. One such plan aimed to connect the Red Sea with the Mediterranean directly, saving time sailing around Africa. The next attempt to build a canal in the area occurred in the mid-1800s, when Ferdinand de Lesseps, a French diplomat and engineer, obtained the concession to build the canal. The Universal Suez Ship Canal Company was formed and given the right to begin building the canal and operating it for 99 years. The Egyptian government would control the canal. Construction of the Suez Canal officially began on April 25, 1859. It is estimated that a total of 2,613 million cubic feet of earth would have to be removed to construct the canal. The decision to build a canal connecting the Mediterranean Sea and the Red Sea drew criticism from the United Kingdom, which considered the project a political scheme to weaken the country's dominance in maritime trade. Britain continued to oppose the project until the empire purchased a 44% stake in the canal after the Egyptian government auctioned off its shares in 1875 due to financial problems. Initially, the construction of the canal was carried out by forced laborers. Thousands of people were forcibly assigned to dig the canal using pickaxes and shovels until the law banned the use of slave labor in 1873. This forced the Suez Company to bring in steam and coal-powered shovels and dredgers to build the canal. With the help of this machinery, the project received the necessary impetus and allowed the waters of the Mediterranean to flow into the Red Sea through the canal on November 17, 1869, when it was opened for navigation. The Suez Canal, 60 to 90 meters wide at the surface, 21 meters wide at the bottom, and 7 meters deep, is now 24 meters deep and 365 meters wide, with the current cargo transport capacity in the canal is 240,000 tons. Port Said, 32 kilometers from Lake Manzala, was the first engineering challenge. The area was about 5 feet deep with a bottom of soft Nile clay. The challenges were excavating the mud, building the canal banks in weak soil, and using the excavated material. The solution was to remove much of the clay from the bottom of the lake, squeeze the water, and form blocks. This formed a small channel 3 meters and 65 centimeters wide, allowing dredgers to work. The soft clay was allowed to dry in the sun before adding another layer, increasing cohesion. When finished, the banks were 2 meters above the water. The sun baked the clay into a solid, firm mass, used as roads to transport heavy loads. The engineers recognized that the project would only be completed with the help of dredgers, so they designed the dredgers for the job. They varied in size according to the work and the arrangement of the dredged materials. The smallest dredges were 15 horsepower, then came the intermediate ones, then the 75 horsepower ones. The largest were 33 meters long, with an 8-meter beam and drums measuring 14 meters above the waterline. When these dredgers had dredged to the required depth, the connection to the freshwater canal was closed, and the dam on the Suez Canal line was removed. The final filling of the canal occurred on August 15, 1869. The union of the two seas caused the rapid dissolution of the salt, with the crust of the bitter lakes filled until the 24th of October in 7 months. The absence of current between the two ends of the channel proved the accuracy of Lesseps's research in 1847. The influence of the Red Sea tides extended only as far as the bitter lakes, which acted as a large reservoir for the waterway and a sea level regulator. The problem was solved with a system of temporary locks in the lakes. Although construction of the Suez Canal began in 1859, the expansion of the canal never stopped. The current cross-section of the canal is 15 times larger than the original one when it opened in 1869. Many transportation and irrigation projects were conducted to further develop the Suez Canal. Among them are the expansions of the canal's cross-section and diversions, which cost more than 1 billion reais. However, the total cost of the project was more than double the original estimate. The Panama Canal and Suez Canal are rivals in the container shipping industry. Both shorten trade routes, supporting global trade. With the growth of container ships, both channels realized the need for expansion. The Panama Canal expansion project began in 2007 and was completed in 2016. The new third set of locks added a lane to accommodate larger ships. Now, the canal can handle ships with more than double its previous capacity. The Suez Canal Authority, in competition with the expansion of the Panama Canal, announced its plan in 2014 to deepen the canal and create a new parallel lane of 72 kilometers to allow for two-way traffic. The expansion project shortened the transit time from 18 to 11 hours, and the waiting time to pass through the canal dropped to about 3 hours. In 2014, the expansion of the 35-kilometer Bala Passage was initiated at a cost of $8.4 billion to increase the capacity of the Suez Canal. This expansion is expected to double the capacity of the Suez Canal to 97 ships per day. The Suez Canal was inaugurated on August 6, 2015. Ships approaching the canal from the sea must radio the port when they are less than 24 kilometers from the clear water mark near the health port. The Suez Canal does not have locks due to the flat terrain and the small sea level difference between each end. This is relevant for maritime transportation, as the ports at the ends would be susceptible to the impact of tsunamis from the Mediterranean Sea and the Red Sea. The Suez Canal received $6.3 billion in 2021, marking the highest revenue ever recorded on the maritime trade route in eastern Egypt, despite the historic blockage caused by a grounded ship in March of the same year. The ship got stuck after containers on top of the vessel acted like a sail during a dust storm, causing the ship to veer off course and run aground. This incident underscored the importance of the Suez Canal. The inability to pass through there halted the global economy for several days, leading to increased expenses and longer voyages along the coast of Africa. Both the Suez Canal and the Suez pipeline are crucial for the flows of oil and natural gas, accounting for 9% of traded oil and 8% of traded natural gas via maritime routes. The shorter route from Europe to Asia, completed in 1869, has made the Suez Canal one of the busiest maritime routes. Its construction benefited the maritime sector with shorter transit times and cost savings. The connection between the Red Sea and the Mediterranean Sea promoted agility and lower costs in commercial transactions, fostering the economic development of the region. Additionally, it facilitated the flow of production from major manufacturing centers, such as China and Southeast Asia, to Europe. What are your thoughts on the Suez Canal? Leave them in the comments. Also, give it a thumbs up if you liked the video. Turn on the notification bell and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. This way, you'll always stay updated on the content here at Construction Hub. And if you're sticking around on YouTube, check out our other video appearing on your screen. A big hug, and until the next video.